Three things that scare all French people: taxes, triangle sandwiches, and the bright signature of a Peugeot in your rearview mirror. But before becoming the police's brand and having the power to dangerously raise the heart rate of all nighttime drivers, Peugeot is above all a 2-century-old company that has built iconic cars, and which, as such, is of course part of the magical trio of French brands known all over the world, among which you definitely have a preference with Renault and Citroën. That's good. I've already talked about the evolution of Renault and Citroën's design on the channel. Today, we'll cover the social-based brand Peugeot, a historic manufacturer that has experienced difficulties and successes, but which has long been considered a mundane brand lacking personality, while its cousin Citroën managed to surprise and innovate. In just a few years, Peugeot has completely transformed its style from a tired, harmless design to a sophisticated and aggressive one right before our eyes. A swift, extreme, and unexpected change. A bit like going straight from Minitel to the iPhone. As if Rosanna became Red Bull, or as if Jeff Bezos became Jeff Bezos. But better, it's true that he's strong there. Like other French automakers, Peugeot has its dedicated fans and sworn enemies. However, the brand is thriving and sales are steadily increasing, with another 6% sales increase in 2023, for a total that far exceeds 1 million cars registered worldwide. In France, it's the only brand with 3 of its cars among the top 10 bestsellers this year. And of course, it's partly thanks to its bold design, which has evolved over time, and we're going to analyze together in this video to precisely decipher what has changed in recent years and understand the lion's transformation. Car manufacturers differ and have unique specifics. Some designs stem from robust technical traits, while others involve frequent code changes. But as for Peugeot, there is a rather rare peculiarity, that is, to grasp the origin of its identity and design, one must understand its history. Peugeot's history is among the richest in the industry, dating back to its founding in 1810, long before the automobile. You've likely seen its bicycles, tools, or even own a pepper mill like I do. At Peugeot, the central character is André, while at Renault, it's the Peugeot brothers. It's quite a whole family of industrialists who started by making springs, umbrella wheels, saw blades, corset frames, in short, almost everything that can be made of steel. Armand Peugeot only became passionate about the automobile, which was in its infancy starting from 1886, and only 10 years later that he officially created his automobile business, which merged in 1910 with another car manufacturing company created by his nephews to become the Société des Automobiles Peugeot, the basis of the Stellantis empire, which we know today. At the time, Peugeot had 4 factories, 3 in Franche-Comté and 1 in Lille. The Sochaux factory was established in 1912. Considered the historical cradle of the brand, it was the largest industrial site in France for a long time before World War I. Peugeot, a major player in the French automobile industry, produces over 10,000 cars, accounting for half of the country's yearly output. However, post-war, the brand is usurped by the arrival of scoundrel André Citroën, who heavily invests in his factories and advertising. As explained in my video, Peugeot is the second largest car manufacturer. But the company will continue to develop and even manage to get through the crisis of the 30s without too many problems. Peugeot's first major success was the 201, their first mass-produced vehicle. And above all, the first to introduce the 3-digit name with the 0 in the middle that still exists today. The brand is currently among the first in France to invest heavily in design to stand out, and one of the first to offer cars with a very fluid aerodynamic style, typical of the 1930s, like the 402 with its lights integrated into the grille, or the 601 with its details that really breathe the Art Deco style, a trendy style of the era that glorified industrial advancements seen on ships, architecture, and common items. During the Second World War, like many companies, Peugeot was forced to produce ambulances, trucks, airplane engines, and even missile parts for the German army. However, employees and leaders did their best to slow down and sabotage the forced collaboration, evading German reprisals and bombings. After the war, Peugeot revived with the 203 followed by the 403, the first true post-war vehicle, with a modern style featuring pontoon bodywork, characterized by the absence of pronounced wings that were previously common but gradually disappearing in Europe. This design integrates the grille, headlights, and wings into a unified whole. French cars had a series of successes, such as the 204, the best-selling car in France for 3 consecutive years, and the 504, which had a production run exceeding 3 million units, 0.5 million copies. The car, particularly its renowned coupe and convertible models with a V6 engine designed by Pininfarina, has become an icon. Convertible car ratings have skyrocketed in recent years, with some models now priced at $30,000 or more, like on this one from 1972. The year introduced several design elements that would become part of the brand's DNA, such as the claws and the emblem, which we will discuss next. In 1976, Peugeot is in good shape and it takes control of Citroën. I've already discussed that in the Chevron brand video. In 1978, Lion acquired Chrysler's European operations, including Simca, for $1 and revived the historic Talbot brand name. The oil shock, economic crisis, strikes, and outdated models led to Talbot's demise, which Peugeot abandoned after 8 years due to disastrous results. The situation is now delicate for Peugeot, which has suffered significant losses in this venture, and it takes a miracle to get it back on track. This miracle will be the 205 car, the best-selling car in France in 84-85 and in 1990. It rescues Peugeot from bankruptcy, with over 5 million units produced in its 15-year run. The Turbo 16 version has become legendary for its autosport success, in addition to its immense commercial triumph, which wins the driver and manufacturer titles at the World Rally Championship for 4 years between 1985 and 1988. Among the huge successes of the last century is the 405 European Car of the Year in 1988, which had a very long international career. It was produced in over 5 million copies and was manufactured in Iran until March of this year. Surprisingly, it was Peugeot's third best-selling car globally in 2017, even among their top-selling models. 208, 308 and 3008. That one you didn't see it coming? In summary, Peugeot, whether liked or not, has achieved numerous successes, the most significant being the 206 model, with its 8 million units produced, its rally titles, and a memorable advertisement, of which I'm giving you an excerpt just for pleasure. Subtitling ST501. Despite some setbacks, the early 2000s were a positive period for the Lion brand. The design team led by Gerard Welter produces popular cars like the 207 or 307. They even released impressive concept cars for the era, such as the 907 and 908 RC. The V12 diesel was used at the 24 Hours of Le Mans, but the 2008 subprime crisis significantly impacted car manufacturers globally. And it's the start of a new period of struggle for the brand. Gerard Welter retired in 2007, and the models are starting to be a bit old for the market. The RCZ and the 508 start with good intentions and fully use the brand's codes. The largest grille and elongated almond-shaped lights were featured at the time, but they are both weighed down by rotten proportions. The brand's family segment, represented by the 3008 and 5008 MPVs, has a failed design while the market shifts towards SUVs. In the early 2010s, Peugeot was in a state of uncertainty, having lost the momentum gained from its successes in the 2000s. Its aging range is being eaten up by the competition. It suffers from the comparison with Renault, which is in full renewal. As its results decline, the company is becoming increasingly financially fragile. To turn things around, the company decides to reorganize by making Citroën a more accessible brand and adopting a high-end strategy for Peugeot. The arrival of Gilles Vidal will bring a major revamp to the design identity and style, making a significant impact. Gilles Vidal started at Citroën in 1996 and rose through the ranks to become head of design. He joined Peugeot in 2010 when the SR1 concept was unveiled, a convertible signaling an upgrade and introducing elements foreshadowing the brand's new stylistic language. The first striking element is that the front face is more vertical and the lights are always almond-shaped, but much thinner than what was done on the brand's models. At the time, the 207 and 308 models had huge lights that nearly spanned the entire hood length, which would be unimaginable today. The three claws on the rear optics remind us of what we saw earlier on the Pininfarina's 504, and which are a direct nod to the brand's emblem, the lion, which also appears in a new version on this car. The lion's feline features and elements will multiply over time. So, we're going to take a minute to make a little digression by focusing on this extremely important element of the brand's identity and understand where the lion emblem comes from. As mentioned earlier, Peugeot initially produced steel objects, especially saw blades. As literacy was low at the time, Émile Peugeot wanted a symbol to represent the brand. A goldsmith from Montbéliard chose to link the lion with the brand to emphasize the saw blade's qualities. Peugeot cutting speed, flexibility and bite. In 1920, it appears on cars, first on the radiator caps, then directly as an integrated emblem on the grilles. Since the 201, the logo has changed several times, most recently in 2010 on the SR1. The modernized design of the heraldic lion, standing on its hind legs, is based on the Lion of Franche-Comté, the company's place of origin. Peugeot, with Gilles Vidal and his team, completely redesigns its lineup, transforming its image. Several feline-inspired concept cars marked the 2010 ESA, featuring elements found in later series, such as Onyx, Exalt with its structured grille, Quartz hinting at the 3008, Fractal and Instinct, foreshadowing the optics of the 208 and 308. The E-Legend concept reinterprets the legendary 504 and features a new logo. The emblem taken from the 60S, which has returned on today's Peugeots, and today's Peugeots precisely. Let's talk about it. To properly decipher the new design and the transformation that has taken place in recent years, we will analyze three models that kept their names but completely changed their appearance. The 208, 508, 3008. We are currently in phase 2 of the second version for these three models. To clarify, we will discuss in terms of versions. These are the version 1s, the old ones, and these are the version 2s, which exist in phase 1 or phase 2. We will consider them as a whole since the elements we will decrypt work in all cases, as they are quite similar. The Peugeot 208 was one of the better models from that era, performing well in the market with its compact size. After being the second best-selling car in France behind the Clio 4 for 6 years, it became first just before its restyling in 2019. Did you not notice? The new 208 is much more angular and much more athletic. It eliminates the bloated effect of its predecessor by emphasizing seriousness and horizontality, with a more vertical front face that allows for a less inclined and more horizontal hood. Clear, uninterrupted lines at waist level spanning from wheel to wheel. More pronounced wheel arches, especially on the GT versions, create the illusion of larger rims. The new Peugeot 208 features the brand's latest light signature, with its saber-shaped daytime running lights widening the front face and the black strip at the back including the 3 claws, which also visually widen the car. The contrast is even more pronounced on the 508 side. The old one was really a poorly born whale, with catastrophic proportions that the new one has corrected well, as on the 208. The new saber-toothed optics at the front or the headband at the back allow for a real horizontality that visually reduces the height of the car. The same goes for the plunging roofline, much more fastback, and for the side view graphics, which adds dynamism and highlights the muscle of the rear wing. The old one had a bland, static line and a silhouette that emphasized its height once more. The elongated hood with an I-pillar behind the front wheel and the slender window design refining the C-pillar. They also significantly rebalanced the car, making it sportier, more modern, and much more desirable. The 3008 has changed the most, which is a positive development. The new generation has abandoned the bland, egg-shaped minivan format and switched to a sport utility vehicle design with better proportions. With a longer and well-defined hood, this involves abandoning the super vertical front lights that span almost the entire hood length. A real hood is introduced, highlighted by a chrome strip that brings horizontality and visually reduces the space above the wheel, making the rims appear larger. The glass surface is greatly reduced and the glossy black C-pillar visually reduces the height. The roofline and chrome spoiler appear suspended in mid-air. In the end, 3 successful transformations, which we can group the improvements into 3 founding principles. An improvement in proportions with the end of bloated and clumsy silhouettes and the appearance of real vertical front faces. Horizontal hoods and repositioned pillars for sleeker cars. The car's silhouette is visually widened with lines that ground it and provide a sense of horizontality both at the front and rear. And of course, a much more expressive front face as if cut with a cleaver. New optics on each side of the bumper give it a more confident and aggressive saber-toothed tiger look. Speaking of aggression, the pinnacle of all these developments is found in their latest model that fully embraces this new philosophy, the Peugeot 408. A kind of elevated, super sharp and super violent coupe sedan, with its bold lines and much more faceted design which definitively eliminates all roundness and really catches the eye. Pushing Peugeot's design language to new extremes, the first glimpse might make you think it's a Lamborghini. Some even nickname this car the French Urus. Because of its lowered and recessed cabin, its prominent shoulders, and its straightforward knife-cut design, it marks the end of the brand's decade-long transformation and the conclusion of a style, which ends with Gilles Vidal's departure to Renault and his replacement by Matthias Haussan, former director of concept cars for the brand. Lion's new design boss aims to make an instant impact. We already see a radical style evolution on the reinvented third-generation 3008, particularly in the expression of its front face, which becomes more complex with the headlights placed on a high-positioned strip and a much larger grille, surrounded by the new light signature. Farewell to saber teeth, welcome to the 3 lines symbolizing lion's claws, which we have already seen on the restylings of the 208 and the 508. Gilles Vidal has brought several key elements of his style to Renault, which I previously discussed in my video on the topic. The new boss, Matthias Haussan, appears to be taking a different approach. I have a lot of respect for the work that Gilles has been able to accomplish in recent years at Peugeot. His work has resulted in a certain success of all the models offered. The world changes very quickly, and we cannot stay on our fundamentals without ever evolving. The greatest risk would be to confine ourselves to a design aesthetic that is merely a continuation of the current trend. It's often simpler to join a struggling group where everything needs improvement than to be part of a highly successful brand, which is my current situation. So the Lion brand finds itself facing a real challenge with Dylan. Continue the successful momentum even if it means resting on its laurels, or innovate like with the new 3008. Even if it means taking risks that could knock it off the pedestal it took so many years to climb. I've always supported innovation and the evolution of style. But we can understand Matthias Hosseini's ambition to leave his mark on the history of France's oldest brand. Remember, Peugeot's health is vital for all Stellantis group brands. Its upmarket moves should allow continued investment in other brands like Dodge, Fiat, Maserati, Alfa Romeo, or Jeep. So now it's your turn to play. In your opinion, in Peugeot's situation, is changing identity at the top a good idea, or is it too risky? Leave me your opinion in the comments. I can't wait to know what you think. Thank you all for watching this video. If you liked it, I put the playlist of all my brand analyses right here. To support the channel, check out my limited edition car posters at appeldefer.com. You get 10% off on your first order directly on the site. See you next time.